that seals fate, the end of every heart. I'm no villain nor hero, I'm the peace amidst the pain, the angel who comes, who takes, yet offers love again. I am the dance of the eternal, the final breath, the subtle touch that brings an end to death. I am the calm in chaos, the shadow in the light, the cycle of life that guides through the night. Thousands of years.
Time 3 p.m., January 7th, 2023, 5 hours before the attack that will take Tyre Nichols' life. Location, Memphis, Tennessee. What would you do if you knew today would be your last? Would anything change? I am Lucius Eternus, an angel of death. I walk beside souls in their final moments, those unaware of how quickly time is running out. Today, I accompany Tyre Nichols in his last hours, a man who, like many, believed tomorrow was within his grasp. He left home that afternoon in Memphis, unaware he would never return. Tyre was the kind of person who brought lightness wherever he went. He worked at FedEx, alongside his stepfather, Rodney Wells. In his free time, he found joy in simple things, skating through the streets and capturing sunsets with his camera, a passion that connected him to a sense of calm and peace. But on that day, as he looked out his bedroom window, there was a nagging feeling he couldn't shake. The usual sounds of the city, cars passing, people talking, felt distant. A memory from the previous night flashed across his mind. He had dreamed of his grandmother, the one he loved deeply but had already passed on. In the dream, she was smiling at him, that warm smile that always made him feel safe. She hugged him, saying nothing, but her embrace said everything. It was a deep comfort, yet now, as he replayed the dream, a question lingered inside him about what it meant. Why now, he wondered, trying to push away the strange feeling that had been with him all morning. It was just a dream. He smiled to himself, but the melancholic weight still lingered. Tyre picked up his phone. The name of an old friend he hadn't spoken to in months flashed on the screen. They had fought, never resolving things, and he knew he should make amends. He stared at the number, thinking about calling but, as so many times before, hesitated. Tomorrow, he told himself. I'll call tomorrow. He put the phone down, ignoring the soft buzzing of notifications. He still believed time was on his side. Before leaving, Tyre went to the kitchen, where his mother, Ro Vaughn, was cooking chicken, just like so many other nights. The smell of a familiar family dinner filled the house. "Mom, you're making chicken tonight?" he asked with a smile, already knowing the answer. She smiled back. "You're heading out, son?" she asked, with a mix of affection and a subtle hint of concern. She didn't know why, but something about that day felt strange. "Yeah, Mom. Just going to take some sunset photos. I won't be long." He hugged her, holding on a bit longer than usual, and she felt it. The embrace was comforting, but something about it felt different, something she couldn't quite name. "Ty, please be careful." I've got a weird feeling today." "I'll be fine, Mom," he reassured her softly, trying to ease her worry. "I promise I'll be back soon." He stepped out, driving through the familiar streets of Memphis. The city's usual sounds, cars, voices, the constant hum of urban life, swirled around him. The sky was starting to shift, colors blending into the sunset he loved to capture. But on that afternoon, Tyre had no idea that time was working against him. Each mile he drove brought him closer to a final destination he could never have imagined. Time 5:30 p.m., January 7th, 2023. 3 hours remain before the attack that will lead to Tyre Nichols' death. I watched Tyre Nichols during his final hours, unaware of what lay ahead. Driving through the streets of Memphis, he was chasing the sunset, something that fueled his artistic soul. The sky was breathtaking, and when he found the perfect spot, he parked and adjusted his camera as though it was an extension of himself. I approached, not as I typically do, unseen, but in human form. I wore a black suit. My imposing figure and the silence that accompanied me seemed to unsettle him. He hesitated for a moment, maybe due to the strangeness of the situation. You like capturing the end of cycles, don't you? I asked, my tone steady but carrying a deeper meaning that Tyre couldn't quite grasp. I just like the colors, the peace it brings, he replied with a brief laugh, trying to relax, though something about me disturbed him. Peace is temporary, I said softly, observing him. What we do reaches far beyond the present moment. Everything you see and feel connects in ways we often don't understand until later. He seemed to consider what I had said, but soon returned his focus to the camera, as though my words needed more time to take root. For a while, he lost himself in the beauty of the sky, its colors fading slowly as he took picture after picture, each one capturing that fleeting moment. When he finally checked the time, it was already 6:30 p.m. The sky had turned completely dark, but the satisfaction of what he'd captured calmed him. Yet, his mind was far from settled. Determined to stretch this moment of reflection, Tyre drove to Shelby Farms Park, one of his favorite places to walk and think. The silence of the night surrounded him, and for over an hour, he wandered through the park's trails. The serenity of the night, combined with the distant glow of stars, made him reflect on his life and what was still to come. Am I living the way I should be? Tyre wondered as he gazed up at the dark sky. There was a restlessness within him, a search for something more, something he couldn't quite articulate but that now echoed in the words I had spoken earlier. The answers didn't come, but he sensed that time was running out. Realizing how late it was, Tyre decided it was time to head home. His mother, Ro Vaughn, had made chicken for dinner, and he looked forward to the warmth of his family. At 8:24 p.m., as Tyre drove home, the flashing blue and red lights of police sirens invaded his rearview mirror, shattering the peace of the night. He pulled over, unsure of what he had done wrong but trying to remain calm. Then the officers approached aggressively, offering no explanations as they pulled him out of the car. Confused and afraid, Tyre tried to run. Maybe he thought escaping would give him a chance to get away from it all, but the officers chased and caught him. In the second confrontation, the brutality was relentless. As he begged, "I'm just trying to get home," the blows kept coming. I watched from a distance, forbidden to intervene, feeling the weight of inevitability. Destiny reaches you, even when you don't yet see it, I thought, as Tyre faced the final moments of his journey. Time 10 p.m., January 7th, 2023. Tyre is taken to the hospital. Location, Memphis Hospital. 3 days and 13 hours until Tyre's death. I watched as Tyre was placed in the ambulance. The paramedics worked to stabilize him as they sped to the hospital. The sirens pierced the night, but inside, everything felt distant to Tyre. He drifted between reality and somewhere far away, as if heading toward a place beyond his comprehension. Once at the hospital, the medical team rushed to save him, but Tyre's mind had already begun wandering to a different space. He saw himself again, skating through Memphis streets, the night air brushing his face, a fleeting sense of freedom from days past. But the images faded quickly. He was losing control, and the more he tried to hold on to life, the more it slipped away. I can't let this happen, he thought, his consciousness clinging to the present. Each memory briefly anchored him to life, laughter with friends, the soft click of his camera, the calm of a sunset. But as each wave of memories came, he felt himself slipping further. As the doctors worked around him, images of his mother, Ro Vaughn, at his bedside filled his mind. He wanted to tell her everything would be okay, wanted to ease her pain, but he was trapped. The hospital room faded, replaced by scenes of his life, Memphis in daylight, the joy of capturing a perfect shot, the embrace of his young son. Everything moved in slow motion, like a quiet goodbye. Then, another vision appeared. He was dreaming again. This time, he found himself in a house that radiated light, a place he'd never been but immediately recognized as peaceful. In the distance, he saw his grandmother, the same one who had visited him in dreams before. She smiled and embraced him, her touch bringing a deep sense of calm and love. "I'm here with you, Tyre," she said softly, her voice as familiar as always. "You don't need to be afraid. Stay calm. I'm with you, and I'll always be." The weight Tyre had carried began to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace. Fear and pain seemed to vanish in that hug. "I love you," she whispered, and he realized he wasn't alone. "You've never been alone." Tyre's heartbeat, once strong, began to slow. Each beat grew softer, more distant, as if time was running out. The doctors kept trying, but I knew the end was near. The threshold between life and death is never easy, and this one was especially heavy with emotion. I stood by, knowing the final moment was approaching. And as his heartbeat faded, the transition was about to happen. Time, 8 a.m., January 10th, 2023, Tyre succumbs to his injuries. The hospital room was thick with silence. Tyre Nichols took his final breath, and the air grew heavy, as if time itself acknowledged the weight of the moment. His once lively hands now lay still. I, Lucius Eternus, a death angel, watched with deep reverence. Tyre's journey ends here, I murmured, but the impact of his life is only beginning. The collapse of his body was slow and agonizing. His lungs, unable to exchange oxygen, failed, and his brain, starved of air, began to lose connection with the rest of his body. His blood pressure plummeted, and his heart, weakened by the trauma, beat irregularly with erratic pulses. Each vital system shut down, one by one, like a machine breaking under the weight of what it endured. His lungs, filled with fluids, struggled for air, each breath was shallow and labored. The brain, deprived of oxygen, lost its vital connections, and neurological functions deteriorated gradually. His pupils dilated, and as his body grew cold, the monitor's lines became flat, signaling the end. The final cause of death was respiratory and cardiac failure, the direct result of the violent assault he had endured. His body simply couldn't fight anymore. The hospital lights dimmed as dawn broke through the window. It was as if even the world recognized that Tyre's short life would leave an enduring impact. I watched as his essence departed his body. His memories unfolded before me, moments of joy, laughter, love. The boy who once dreamed of capturing the beauty of a world through his lens, who played and lived with a sparkle in his eyes. He will never see another sunset, I reflected, nor feel the warmth of a hug again. But his light was not extinguished. His absence would leave a lasting mark, a legacy that would echo far beyond this room. He would become a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of something far greater. His death, I thought, is not the end of his journey, but the beginning of a struggle that will carry on. With a respectful gesture, I severed the silver cord tethering him to life. In that instant, his grandmother appeared, embracing him with love and peace. "I am with you," she said, her voice calm and serene, as only a soul who has transcended can offer. Together, they departed, leaving behind only the silence of a story that hadn't truly ended. As the sun rose on the horizon, a new light emerged. Tyre had left the physical world, but his legacy, his story, and his fight had only just begun. "The impact of his life will spread," I whispered, "until no other human being has to live in fear for their life." The sun, shining brighter, seemed to herald a new beginning. And one day, my friend, we will meet again on the day of your death.
In shadows I walk, I've been here from the start. I am the hand that seals fate, the end of every heart. I'm no villain nor hero, I'm the peace amidst the pain, the angel who comes, who takes, yet offers love again.